You know, when we talk about all the things we're exposed to, it can be kind of overwhelming, all the different areas. So what are some of the smart ways to just stop or start reducing that exposure? I mean, I assume you would start in the home, since you mentioned all of our cleaning products and personal products. I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest areas that people are affected by.
I do. I definitely start in the home. As a matter of fact, I've had so many people, obviously, I mean, I treat my patients and I teach my students, but there are people all over the world. And I want to help people that don't know me. That's the reason I'm here, doing this tape with you. I want all these people that are watching this that may never meet me in person, will never talk to me. I want them to be able to learn this stuff so they can find out. And it's very hard to find non-toxic products so as to avoid this stuff, because the idea that, well, I shop in a health food store. Oh my God, I could walk through any health food store in any aisle and pull stuff out and show you what's bad in this product and that product, and find me a good product. Well, hopefully I can find one in that aisle. So that doesn't work. So we want to try and find the products that have the least or none of any of these various things in them. So what I've done, and I try to update it at least once every 4, 5, 6 months, is I have like a healthy products list. And if you go to my website, davidgetoff.com, I think it's up there on the right-hand side in the drop-down, it says additional resources. And it says, I think it says products list. You have to take a look at it. Healthy products. And I have categories of soaps and deodorants, because I wouldn't want anybody to use an antiperspirant, because perspiration is a detox. We don't tell one of the only 3 areas of our body, groin, head, and underarms. Those are the 3 largest amounts of sweat cells in the body. No other 3 parts have that much of a concentration of sweat glands. We don't want to say, well, there are only 3, we're going to turn one of them off. Whenever I'm sweating and I should be getting rid of poisons, we're going to stop you from doing that. Bad idea. So if you don't want to smell, fine, get a good deodorant that doesn't have any garbage in it, but don't turn off the detox. So I've got a list of healthy deodorants. I've got lists of healthy shampoos, healthy cream rinses, every category I could think of. If I could find something that, as my patients say, is get off approved, I put it in there. There's a couple families that I treat where very often one of them would come into my office and say, we had another what would David say the other day. We were discussing something, well, should we this and this? And say, well, what would David say? And so I made up a bumper sticker, W period, D period, S period, what would David say, davidgetoff.com. And anybody that wants that can have it for free, just put it on your bumper and somebody will look at it and go, what the hell is that? Let's go to davidgetoff.com and take a look. So, anything we can do. But yes, in the house, if you can afford a whole house water filter, that would be terrific. There are lots of whole house water filters out there. I am not associated with any of them. I don't make any money, by giving you a name. The one I happen to like the best is made by Aquacera, Aquacera. They just came out with a newer model. It's called the MR500 or MR700. There's a smaller and larger model, SS for stainless steel. It's a stainless steel tank that gets either 5 or 7 special type of charcoal filters in there that remove all the chloramines, that remove all the chlorine, that knock the fluoride down. It's very hard to remove, pull out all sorts of things, pesticides, herbicides, drugs, etc. And so now when you're bathing, chlorines are gone. Can't afford a whole house filter, or you don't live in a private house, then buy one of the shower filters. Rain Shower makes one. There are a couple companies that make them. Just make sure that it also is rated for some amount of removal, the more the better, of chloramines and not just chlorine. So now we're not bathing in this stuff. And find as many good products as you can. Stop using chlorinated cleansers in your kitchen and bathroom to kill bacteria. The people that clean our house for us are a very nice Mexican couple. And I've told them, they clean my house with the products I give them. And and they know a little bit about this stuff because they've been in it for a long time, and they don't want to expose themselves to all these poisons that are in people's houses. So they use a small amount of vinegar in a gallon of water to clean the floors. And I've given them special stuff to clean other different things, safe solutions and treatment, and the original beeswax spray for my granite. And I said, I will be happy to sell you some of this stuff if you want. Do you use, healthy stuff everywhere? He said, no, the only place we use healthy stuff in every part of the house is in your house. He said, we'll clean the floors with the vinegar if they'll allow us to. I said, allow you to? He said, yeah, they're hiring us. They are hiring us. We have places where if we're not using Clorox or ammonia, were fired because these people think that you can't clean without those things. You won't be able to kill the bacteria. So instead, they're killing the people. This one woman where she insisted my wife get on her hands and knees and scrub the floor with Clorox, and she was coming home. Usually they both clean together. This woman was doing it herself. She was coming home sick every time. And finally, I asked her, because I'm talking to the husband, what are you doing? Well, she told me, and she's clean. She said, you just quit. You're not going back. You can call her up and tell her why. Because I'm not going to have you die because this woman thinks that that's necessary. So anytime you can remove poisonous substances so you're exposed to less, you're better off. Even laundry. People don't realize this because most of our population doesn't feel when they're exposed to a poison.
Sure.
You know, I mean, if you're exposed to chlorine gas, it might kill you in a couple minutes, you know, and rip your lungs to death. But most people don't notice anything. So therefore, they don't have the trigger to say, this must be bad for me, I'm going to stop. And that's a problem. You know, we don't have that trigger. We don't have doing those different things. You know, she was getting sick and she noticed it. But because we don't notice them, we're exposing ourselves to all these different things and not realizing that 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, or next week, when we get diagnosed with this autoimmune condition or that autoimmune condition or this neurological condition, that was caused by a buildup of these poisons being in our body for all these amounts of time. And we don't realize it, and so it's really, really hard. You know, somebody asked me if I was God and I could make a couple of changes, you know, like queen for a day, king for a day, God for a day, not interested. But, you know, if I could make anything I wanted happen, one of the things I chose was I would make it so that if any person, any human, any Homo sapien, was exposed in any way to something, and I don't say a poison or a substance or an electric field, just something that hits everything, which is harmful enough that just that exposure is actually doing some damage, and that multiple exposures would do a lot of damage, but they don't feel it, that they would immediately get so nauseous they would have to throw up. If we could have a pill that would make people have that, do you know what would happen? Chlorinated water would go away, fluoridated water would go away, cell phones would go away, Wi-Fi would go away, most of the cleansers in your house would go away, electric cars would go away because the electric fields. All these people would get so sick the second they were exposed to them, they would all be gone. The companies making carpeting would have to start using less toxic materials. The idea that we have to have flame retardant chemicals on clothing and on babies. Well, yeah, but if the second that somebody opened up the package, everybody in the house immediately started throwing up, they would return it and they wouldn't buy that brand of clothing anymore. So all these various different things that we are doing or having done to us by our local jurisdictions or by the state or by the city, everything has to be this, it has to be chlorinated, fluoridated, they'd go away. And we might end up having water purification like they do in Europe with ozone, which is healthy. So that would be fantastic, but it's not going to happen.